Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm really excited tonight to bring you something unique that maybe we weren't initially covering in our Essential Support series, but the need has been really strong from people I've been talking to throughout all of this pandemic. And so we're really excited to be bringing on Joanna, who is a principal lawyer and mediator at JMS Law, where they really take an awakened approach to law. And what I love about it is the integrity they treat clients with, the way they address the whole family and have a beautiful outcome as much as they can. And tonight's topic on our Zoom are going to be what's coming up for people who with shared custody and co-parenting right now, some guidelines for co-parenting during COVID-19. And Joanna's going to share with us some amazing tools that she has. I just love the way they approach things. And if you haven't checked them out yet on their Instagram or their Facebook page, there's a lot of great tools there and tips. So I know at JMS Law, it's their mission to understand and assist people and empower their clients when they're transitioning through these hard times. And they really try to provide a resolution or a solutions-focused outcome and goal achievement. So Joanna, I'm so happy to have you on with us tonight. I know you did a Zoom support session yesterday to support people who are going through this. And I'm just wondering what you're hearing most of right now with your clients who are co-parenting and trying to navigate this challenging and new territory.
So thank you so much, Wendy, for having us, me in particular, and for having JMS Law with you tonight. We're really honored to be here, so thank you again. In terms of what we're hearing from clients is really the frustration. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of worry about what's going to happen in the future. And people are really concerned about whether or not this is how my life is going to be as I move forward. So a lot of the worries around access exchanges or access what's access going to look like for us, even though we have a court order. And so yesterday, myself and the two lawyers that work here at GMS, we did an entire session. It actually took us an entire hour. We kind of went through a lot of details around some of the case law that's out there to help to support our clients. And so there's a lot of detail on the website around that. So I can certainly, if people want to look at that, they can certainly get a lot of information there. But one of the things that we're saying to our clients is really to be patient. And I think you mentioned that on our Facebook page, which I think it was our Instagram actually, or Facebook, I'm not entirely sure. We have a whole series of guidelines that that another organization, another legal organization has been putting out. It's not just, this is a legal organization that also has psychologists and various other mental health professionals in the group. And so they have actually been providing information to people, and we kind of pass that along. And so one of them was, basically remaining calm and healthy and being mindful of each other, which is really all the principles that we have here at GMS. Just to answer your question around what we're hearing from parents is, should I allow my children to go or child to go to the other parent when that parent is still working in perhaps just working in general? From a general perspective, yes, you do have to allow for that to happen. If it's a high-risk situation, this is where we suggest that people call us for us to give you a sense of whether or not we think your situation would be one of those situations that a court might say, okay, yes, this is a time when your children ought to not go visit with the other parent. The court is very adamant about best interest, and so there's a whole series of case law that surrounds the best interest principle and legislation that actually covers what the best interest of children tends to be. And so this is something that we can also help. I don't know if that answers your question, but there's so much in this area that it's really hard to kind of just pare it down into one little tiny sentence.
Absolutely, and totally understandable. And so we're just touching on things tonight, guys, but it's this lots and lots of questions from the friends that I have, and a lot of discussion around how to do this in the best way possible, and we've never done this before, right? So I can imagine that the conversations are just spinning and spinning, and you guys are getting a lot of consultations and such. So that's one piece. What are some more of the guidelines for co-parenting during this time? So obviously with the children's best interest, but what are some other general, because there's nothing hard and fast, but it's just general, how should we be treating each other right now?
Right. The guidelines that we have posted, I'll just kind of go through those very quickly. So the first one, which I mentioned already, was being healthy. The second one, again, I mentioned this one, was being mindful, which is very, very in line with the principles that we have here at our office. Being compliant. So compliancy really means just being compliant with court orders. So the court wants to see that people are actually following court orders unless it's absolutely necessary not to do so. And again, you can't unilaterally decide that, oh, I can't follow this court order, so I'm not going to. So it's better to get some legal advice around that. Being transparent is very important. So ultimately being honest about your situation and whether or not you are exposed and you could potentially be in a problematic situation that could put your children at risk. So being open with each other is very important. Being generous. So a lot of times when people are in a lot of fear, they tend to hold on to what they think, is important. And quite often that holding on kind of gets us very closed in. And when we're closed in, it's very difficult to give anything to someone else. And remembering that this is really an opportunity for your children to be and spend time with both of their parents. And actually, I just have with me, I kind of brought one of our case law that's actually been leading a lot of cases in the last week or so. And this is what the judge said. He said, in many respects, we're going to have to put our lives on hold until COVID-19 is resolved. But children's lives and vitally important family relationships cannot be placed on hold indefinitely without risking serious emotional harm and upset. So talking about what's really going to happen for children, children are going to experience a great sense of loss if they're not able to see the other parent. So being very mindful of that and understanding that generosity comes from that deeper understanding. And then, of course, the next one is being understanding, right? So be understanding with the other parent. And so this is actually on our website. So there is no doubt that the pandemic will pose an economic hardship and lead to lost earnings for many. So this is really speaking to things like child support. So sometimes parents are, they're adamant that child support has to be paid, but people may be losing their jobs right now, which will make that very difficult. Child support or spouse support, or even, the division of property can sometimes be very difficult at this time. And again, because we're not, this is not something that we're used to. We've never had this situation before, right? So we're dealing, I think case law is being made almost daily now around these issues, which is not something that we're used to at all. I mean, about a month ago, when something would come up in court, we would be relying on case law that, was months and months old. Now we're relying on case law that's just about a week old, right? Because there's so much of it now coming out because of this issue.
Yeah, things are changing so quickly. And I think one of the things you touched on, making sure you're remaining transparent with integrity to children, because it's not just the custody part, the back and forth with parents and all of that. And it's also the schooling that they're missing. There's a whole big bundle around what they're probably going through right now. So the levels and layers of stress and fear and worry, or of love and togetherness and compassion that families can show to one another in this time can really, I think, make a lasting impact, whether your family is a co-parenting family or one that's not co-parenting at this time. So can be used as a point of maybe strength if people are keeping in mind these general ideas and general, ways of looking at it, I would say. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's critical. One of the things that we here at JMS, we teach a parenting course to parents who are going through conflict. We're actually thinking of extending that program as well to parents who are still together but are struggling with their parenting piece of parenting together, co-parenting together in the same household, and parents who are in conflict even living together but wanting to stay together and not sure how to manage their relationships. And one of the things that I say to parents all the time is children do what we do, they don't do what we say. So if we are modeling a particular type of conflict resolution style, that's how they're going to live their lives as adults. And so we get an incredible opportunity right now to demonstrate to our children what would be a great way to deal with crisis and to deal with difficult situations and conflict in general. I don't think parents have ever had this type of an experience before, right? And this great opportunity to do something greater than they anticipated. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
yeah, for sure. Just modeling, absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit more about some of the courses that you offer? Because that was one of the things when I met you guys that I thought, wow, this is very amazing tool. I thought it was just a great way to round out what people are going through. And I wasn't aware, and now I'm not really in this position, but I wasn't aware of other programs like that or other law offices that are offering and getting kind of knee deep in that side of mediation and helping the families that way.
Yeah. So we started this program about 2 years ago, and so far we've had a lot of referrals from the court. So a lot of judges have been sending families to us when they don't know what else to do with them. So they come to us, and we started this program called Cooperative Parenting. We've since then kind of tweaked it to a great extent and added a lot of information that I have been learning and I had been doing for the last, I don't know how many years of my life, I'd say maybe 20 years of my life around personal growth. And so I've got my own gurus that I follow, and people like Joe Dispenza and Deepak Chopra and in the work that I do, because I'm actually a practicing yogi. So and I say practicing because I'm still practicing. So we're still working on that piece. So I bring a lot of yogic practices to the course, and the course is really intended to teach parents tools on how to communicate effectively when they are in crisis, when they are in fact in conflict and can't resolve it. So we've had a lot of high conflict situations, people who come in and who couldn't even look at each other in the first session, because we do usually have both parents in the room together with a group of other parents. If we can, we'll have both parents together. And what parents typically will do is in the very beginning, they just don't want anything to do with each other. And towards the end, after about 7 or 8 sessions, they're then starting to communicate effectively. We then offer parents 5 hours of free mediation time after the course to allow them to try and resolve any issues that they feel that they can resolve in that time using the techniques and the tools from the program. So it's and so in doing that, we're teaching parents firsthand how to, in practice, how to resolve their own conflict when they're in situations that they feel like it's overwhelming. So it allows them to not stop hiding behind their lawyers, because a lot of times parents do that. And I do express to parents all the time, it's really important that you learn strategies and tools, because your lawyers can't be with you the entire time and they can't be with you forever. And also because, again, rule number 1 is that your children are following exactly what it is you're doing. And if you don't want that call when they are 30 or whatever age from perhaps a police station or somewhere else, saying, Mom, Dad, I just, my spouse and I just got into an altercation and here I am now in custody, or for whatever reason, right? I can't resolve this. And we've seen a lot of that as lawyers. So I've been doing this now for almost 16 years. So I've seen a lot of situations where people find themselves in very problematic states unnecessarily. If they had learned proper conflict resolution skills, they might not have been in that situation.
Yeah.
So
And then the pattern repeats potentially, right? So just
yeah,
breaking that cycle and learning some new skills, and definitely that communication piece. That's good for any relationship,
that's
together
right.
family, a separate family, husband and wife, in a business relationship. The
That's
communication
right.
is the foundation.
And actually, Wendy, talking about a business relationship, that is one of the tools that we teach parents in the parenting program, is how to treat now that separation, or even the parenting that they're engaging in, how to treat it like a business relationship. Because I say, your child is the business, and you are both business partners in that business. And if you want that business to do well, what are some of the things that you need to do? And so we go through a whole list of things in terms of what you would be required to do if you wanted to be a good business partner, and have a business that flourishes, right? So that's one of the tools. So
Excellent. I love a couple of the things that you use in your office that I don't think anyone else is using. One, your service dog. I think that's such an incredible way to integrate just another element so that kids feel and adults feel, I guess, I want to use the word safe. I don't know if that's the right word. And then that you guys sometimes use essential oils in your sessions. I think, if we
yeah.
are expanding out and including different modalities, those are both beautiful tools to use.
And you're absolutely, we do use essential oils all the time. Actually, that's the first thing that goes on when we walk in the door. We've got salt lamps everywhere, because we understand how calming that can be. I'm an avid visitor of one of the local shops here in Barrie that sells a lot of these things, and so they find their way into my office. You'll see the giraffe behind me, which is, I think I mentioned, the giraffe is one of the tools that we use in the parenting program. And the giraffe is meant to sort of see long term, and is meant to sort of look at things from a big picture perspective and to make connections. So that's the whole idea. So it's sort of like a trigger, if you want to call it that. We try to make the office as warm as possible, and absolutely Magic, our service dog, she's been incredible. In fact, she helps me a lot because I'm a children's lawyer as well, so I do a lot of work with children, and she helps me very often when I have a young person who may or may not want to speak to me about certain things in the moment. And it's interesting, I don't know if you've heard this story before, but we had a young person who refused to say something that was very critical. And she said, I haven't spoken to anyone about this. And so I said, okay, well, do you think that you might be able to tell Magic? And she said, yeah, I think I can tell Magic. So I left the room. I said, I'm going to leave the room. You have a conversation with Magic. And she did. And I came back and she goes, okay, yes, I've told Magic and it's all good now. And then the next time she came back to see me, she said, okay, you know what? I've already told Magic, the dam's been broken, so now I can tell you. And I know that you and Magic work very closely together, so it's okay if I tell you. And so, which was really quite heartwarming. And that happens a lot. So Magic has been that, children don't typically have an issue speaking with me anyways, but I think Magic kind of opens the door sometimes a lot sooner than the average situation. I should also say that we also do parenting coordination. So I just started that service where I'm helping parents who are now separated and having a lot of difficulties making decisions for their children. So it allows me to step in and make a decision for them, and using all the tools that we would use typically from a court perspective and the best interest principle, and hopefully parents will then follow. So it's just kind of enforcing a court order if for whatever reason a parent is not following it.
Right. Yeah, having these additional tools, I think, is a nice way, and it's one of the reasons we've connected. I'm going to give a couple essential oil tips because a lot of people that I know on my page and on my personal following know about oils. So I'll talk about three of them actually, for communication and for scenarios like we're going through right now. But one of the ones I always talk about for communication and clear communication is lavender. So putting it on the throat helps people communicate in a clear way, especially when they're having trouble saying something. So if someone's got this lump in their throat type feeling and they're having a hard time speaking, then lavender on the throat or diffused in the area. And that calms the central nervous system too, so that we're not in the fight or flight
Right.
pattern. And when we're not in that worry, fear, fight or flight state, then we can maybe calm down and ground enough to speak our truth too. And then I think especially right now, what was calling to me was an oil called Peace. And Peace is a reassuring blend. It's a number of different oils that literally helps bring you peace. So diffusing it or applying it to the bottom of the feet provides reassurance to the body, to the emotions. And then the last one is an oil called Forgive. So it's an emotional blend as well. And we're all going to have regrets as we go through this and we learn this whole process and we adapt and we try to transition. And you know, I yelled at my kids earlier today and I'm like, okay, that was just me responding in a stressful way. Let's go back and do some meditation around how that all rolled out. So Forgive is an oil of forgiveness. And then when I think of children in general, we have some children's blends that I find helpful, both on the physical level and the emotional level. But two that came up when I was considering what I would recommend. One is called Brave. It's a children's roller blend, and kids really respond well to these because they're color coded, they have texture, the aromas are amazing. But Brave is for courage, and in situations where we need courageous conversations or you know, decisions or just facing all of this, Brave is one. And then the last one is Calmer. It's a calming, restful blend. So applying to the feet, back of neck, pulse points, those are ones that I would recommend in scenarios like we're going through right now. But on a pretty consistent basis, my kids use those ones too. So those are some that were coming up as recommendations here for that. Now, I would love to ask you, I know that people can check out your website. I know that it's a great idea. I've been following you guys on JMS Law. .ca at jmslaw.ca on Instagram for a while, and I just think your posts are so informative. Tell us a little bit about how, if someone right now at home is struggling and they're just trying to navigate this whole thing with their co-parenting other or their access visits, what could they do?
Right. Well, they can call us. We are currently offering a half an hour free legal advice to people who might have some worries or concerns that maybe they need some reassurance. We're also offering, which was one of the things that we've now realized, we're now realizing is also very critical in this time, which is providing people with advice around wills, preparation of wills and powers of attorneys. So we're offering 20% off on all of our and the preparation of wills and powers of attorneys. You know, we're going to, if you keep following us, we're actually going to be putting out a parenting program, which is going to be a lot shorter than the one that we typically offer for a fraction of the price. And we're going to be doing it by Zoom so that we can help parents to get through some of the difficulties that they're experiencing right now. And part of that program is also going to provide some information around you know, whatever it is that's coming to us through case law and new information. So we'll probably be sharing that in the parenting program as well to keep people in the know. So those are ways. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. That would be fantastic. And yeah, number one, just call us and see whether or not there is something that we can help you with. We're very open here and we love to help people as much as we can. We also do real estate. So if people are sort of feeling that, you know, they're looking for a lawyer who is who's very what's the word? I would say we are very personable. So we have an amazing clerk here who wants to be in a small firm for that very same reason. So we're so tiny that that I think people feel like they're coming home when they come here. So, and that is the key. And if for some reason you come here and you don't feel at home, let me know because we'll certainly remedy that. But absolutely, just call us. And yeah, we're offering the 20% off in the wills and you know, just call us and find out what it is that we can offer you in terms of advice and information about whatever it is that you're going through right now.
Yeah, straightening up and getting those things in order is really important. anytime, but I think more people are having conversations around those topics, and minds are like looking forward, like what if scenarios. So better to have it all kind of wrapped up in a bow and adjust it down the road as needed, but making sure that, and for me, working in a hospital setting, when people didn't have power of attorneys in place, oh my gosh, it was a nightmare. And it just didn't usually turn out the way that person would have wanted when they haven't been clear and specific and had something in writing about how they wanted to, let's say, do end of life, or what their wishes would have been. And I can't even imagine somebody else later in life making decisions for me that I didn't want. So, that's a big one that hits me because I've seen it lots and lots of times in the hospital setting. So guys, get your POAs together, get your, your wills together now, and update them as you go. When you have more kids, or when you sell your home, or whatever it is, that should be a document that we all have.
And when you have young kids, it's very important. It's really critical to make sure that, there is someone in place that you want to be caring for your children should you not be here. I wanted to just mention about the forgiveness essential oil that you're talking about. I think that's fantastic. And perhaps we'll get you to come and speak to some of our parenting groups as well, because that's something that comes up a lot. And I think sometimes people see forgiveness as a weakness. And that is something that we encourage here at JMS, is to get to that place of forgiveness, because oftentimes when we're not in that place, this is where a lot of health issues arise. So if there's something that can help them to get there, and like the essential oils, that would be fantastic. And I didn't realize that there were essential oils specifically for those things. So we might need some of that in our space, and we're always looking for opportunities to do that too, to find things that we think are going to help our clients when they're in our space.
Yeah, in a complementary way. And if we don't learn how to work through something, or let's say we're, experience something when we were growing up, we are going to carry that through until we work through it. And it's going to show up in your relationships. It's going to show up in your marriage. It might show up in your job. And until you work through it, we just keep getting that same pattern until we learn the lesson. That's what I've learned through personal growth over the last 10 years or so. But so getting to that point of being able to forgive yourself or others and move forward and let go a little bit, which isn't easy.
And that's exactly the message that we send to people a lot here, right? When you're going through crisis, it's a great opportunity for you to become better than you were yesterday, right? So what is it that you're going to do right now that's going to lead you to something greater in the future? And nothing happens to us unnecessarily, right? It happens, and it doesn't even happen to us. Oftentimes it happens for us, and we can't see that. And that's really the teaching that I like to send out to people who come into contact with me in particular, right? So whether I'm teaching yoga or I'm doing the work here at the office. We also teach yoga. We offer yoga to our clients who might need it. About 2 years ago, we had a client who was going through a trial, and so I did some yoga classes with her to try and get her into a place where she can be centered when she was in the courtroom. So I want to mention that too. I mean, the fact that we are very resolution focused, it doesn't mean that we actually don't go to court, because we do. We do when it's necessary, because we do understand that, sometimes there's no other option. But all along the way, even when we're litigating, we're trying to bring people back to their peace and to find a way out of the litigation process if possible.
Yeah, that's a great addition there. So if there's anything else, let us know. But I think that you've given some really great tips. If people want to look back at that list of 7 things, they can follow you on Instagram or Facebook. You guys have some offerings right now through your office for people who are finding challenges and they might need a little bit of information or consultation. And I love, 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 love the piece about POAs and wills, because we just need to do those. So guys, thank you so much, Joanna, for joining me here for the Essential Support series. Super happy to have you and just talk about something that a lot of parents, a lot of people are facing. And if we're looking for support during this whole thing, If you guys are looking for different support, health, nutrition-based stuff, we talked yesterday about feng shui, so just hop onto YouTube, onto my channel, and you can find the whole series there. But is there anything else you want to add before we close off?
I don't think so. I think we covered just about everything. You know, except people know where to find me. You know, I'm always open when this is all over. I'm always open to having a coffee with people who might feel the need to chat further. So yeah.
Great. Well, thanks so much. And I'll put some extra information in the post for this, guys. And if you have questions, just comment below, and then we can get back to them, or Joanna or Matt or JMS Law can get back to you guys directly. All right.
Thank you, Wendy.
So
Thank
much.
you so much.